What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with another Seattle Mariners video. Off season, the hot stove getting kind of hot. We're starting to sort some things out. No real moves have happened yet, but we've got some info and we got some stuff to talk about. So I'm going to dive into it. This is going to be kind of a three-part video. First part, I'm going to answer my Q&A questions. I didn't get a ton of them, but I'm going to answer the ones I got. So thank you, everybody that submitted a question. Excited to dive into those. I honestly haven't even thought about the answers yet, so it's going to be very impromptu answers, which are always the best because you get the more real answer. Second, I'm going to go over my next free agent preview. I talked about Justin Turner. I'm going to talk about the next name here. And then I'll talk a little bit about some of the comments that Jerry's made so far for the GM meetings, some of the rumors that have been floated out there, and address that. So I'm going to get into all that. Before I do, hit the like and subscribe button for me. They're just free, easy ways to help support my channel and helps get the video out to more people. So thank you to everybody that comments, has liked the videos, and subscribes. Truly appreciate your guys' support. So let's get into first with the questions. Thank you to the people that did submit the questions. I think I've got them all here. I think I've got like 4 of them, so this should be pretty quick. First question is from Aaron Streitenberger. I hope I said that correctly. Aaron, always appreciate your comments and insights and our feedback. Always enjoy it. His question is, what's your opinion on relocation and alignment? Are you a 4 divisions in the AL NL guy, or do you favor something more radical? And then do I support Vegas getting a team over somewhere like Portland, Vancouver, and Salt Lake? From the second, I'll answer the second one first about Vegas getting a team. Listen, I'm actually not a big fan of Las Vegas in general. It's a little too loud for me. I've had some great fun. I've had a lot of fun in Vegas. Let me say that. But as I've gotten older, it's too much for me. I want a nice, relaxing vacation. Vegas is not that. But I get Vegas getting a team. It's become, I mean, it's not just a gambling city now. It's become much more than that. They've got a football team, they've got a hockey team. Seen how loyal their fan base is, especially for hockey. One of the best fan bases there is. I mean, I don't like them as a Coyotes fan, but they are a good fan base. I'd rather see like Salt Lake or something get a team. I just like those cities a little bit better, but I totally get a team going to Vegas. And I feel gutted for Oakland A's fans that that's going to happen. I've actually had a lot of good memories at the Coliseum. I lived in the Bay Area for a while, and I'm not defending A's ownership either, but they're not drawn. They don't draw fans. The stadium's decrepit. Now, I don't know the whole debate about all of it. Who is it? The city? Is it the owner? Is it, whatever? But I do get it. So I'm fine with it. It's not something that bothers me that Vegas is getting a team. It's a continuing growing market. So it makes sense. So for divisions, my thought has always been this. I get having divisions. But my take in all sports has always been you should have conferences. Um, I think there should be an NL and an AL or an NFC, AFC if we're talking football. And then I think you just have every team. It's just there's no divisions. I get why there's divisions, but it's just every team, and then the top whatever 6 make the playoffs. The top 2 get the buys, as they do now in baseball. And football, it's 1. And then you go from there. It's the 6 best records. I know some people are like, well, Jay, that hurts the rivalries. You can still have the rivalries. I mean, the Bears can still play the Packers twice in football. You can still have Seattle play Houston, Texas. You can still have the Yankees play the Red Sox a bunch. I don't think it would hurt the rivalries, and you're still in the same conference. So it's not like they're not a rival anymore. So that's kind of what I would do. I would just have the AL, the NL. I'm sure someone can come along and be like, well, Jay, you actually can't do that because of A, B, and C. Maybe that's the case. It's not something I've thought about too much, but that way you just get the best 6 teams or best 7 teams in there. I get it too. You win your division, you get that little extra bump. I don't really care about that. I think the best 2 teams should get the bye weeks or whatever it is. So that would be my take on that. Aaron, always appreciate your insights and comments. So thank you. And then relocation and realignment, I think I kind of answered about that a little bit with Oakland. I don't love it. I hate when a city loses its team. I'm going through it a little bit with the Coyotes. Tons of rumors of them going to Houston's been talked about. There's been talk about Quebec. And while I would love hockey to have the Nordiques back, that's super cool. I don't want to lose a team. I'd rather have an expansion team go there. So I get it from both angles, but I also understand it's it's been tough to grow hockey in Arizona. So I get it. So let me move on to the next question. Next one is from Derry Appleberry. Appreciate your comment, my friend, and hope you are doing well. His comment is, do you think the Mariners could move the fences in to make T-Mobile Park a more balanced park? He says, I believe they did that in the past. They did. I think it was before 2013, 2014, something like that. Do you think this would expose some of our best pitchers as benefiting greatly from T-Mobile being a pitcher's park? So essentially, yeah, my thoughts on doing that. So my take on it is, it's sort of like when golfers complain about a golf course to me. Like, you're all playing in the same course. Now, baseball's a little different because the Mariners play 81 games in T-Mobile and another team isn't. So you are going to build your team more around your home ballpark. Uh, but I think it's fine. I think it's up to the team and the front office to look at a park's dimensions and figure out what the best way to build a team in it is. Even with the Mariners moving it in previously. And I get it. It was a big ballpark and they did move the fences in, but it's not like the Mariners haven't had success there. The 2000 and 2001 teams played at the time Safeco and made the playoffs and were good teams. So, I don't really care one way or the other, I guess. When I say I don't care, I don't mean that about your question. I just mean in general, like, you got to adapt to the ballpark you're in, whether it's a really small hitter's haven or a pitcher's paradise. Obviously they move the fences in, you'd have more long balls and stuff given up. I think the Mariners pitching staff, top three, with Gilbert, Kirby, and Castillo, is good enough that I don't think moving the fences in would kill the pitching staff. But I don't even know how much benefit it would have to the offense. Like, the only guy I can think of that may have been a nice, there's two guys that were on the 2023 Mariners I think would have benefited from it. Teoscar Hernandez and probably Gino. Other than that, I think it would have been about the same for everybody else. Probably everyone improves their numbers a little bit, but you know what I mean. So I appreciate that question, Derry. Thank you as always. I know there's a couple other questions. Let me get to them. Here we go. I have got from Steve Mills. Steve, appreciate the question. He says, favorite Seahawks game, non-playoffs of all time, and my thoughts on Geno Smith. So we're going a little Seahawks here. Non-playoff, that's tough. And that's a good question because, like, the Super Bowl is the obvious answer, and so is the NFC Championship game against San Francisco and Green Bay. So essentially my favorite regular season game or preseason game. There's a lot of them. The Giants in 2005, the 14 false start game was great. That was one of those moments when you just knew that 05 team was special because it was a game they had lost so many times. That's up there. And it was just, and then Jay Feely missing 3 field goals was awesome. There was a game in 1996 that not many people remember against at the time, I think it was still the Houston Oilers in 96. They were lining up to kick about a 45-yard game-winning field goal. I believe the game was tied at 13 or 16. Might have been, I think it was tied at 13. And it was 46, 47-yarder, nothing crazy. And they had a good kicker in Aldel Greco at the time. And the Seahawks blocked the kick with no time left. And I think Robert Blackman picked it up and returned it for a touchdown. It's a forgotten game because the 96 team didn't make the playoffs or anything. But that was, and I was there. So that as a kid, so that was a great memory of that game. That one always holds a special place in my heart because I was there. I was also at Russell Wilson's last start as a Seahawk, so that game holds a special place for me. I'm happy with the Russ trade, but I don't hate Russ like some people do either. Like, I mean, he's a good human being who's done good for the community, so I don't have a lot of hate for that. That was a good one. And then trying to think of some other ones here before I move on. Wow, that's on the spot. I should have looked at these questions ahead of time, probably. Oh boy. I feel like there's an obvious one that I'm missing here that was just like, oh, how could you forget that game? Oh, maybe I should have taken a little more time. The wins over San Francisco in 2012, 2013 were awesome. Just when the team was kind of bullying people around. I know there's been some pretty wacky. The Fail Mary game was kind of fun. I get people's frustration with it, but I liked it. Unless I can think of anything else, that's all I've got off the top of my head. I would say that's those are in there. There's probably some others as well. And beating Denver last year would probably be up there as well. And thoughts on Geno Smith? I think Geno's the best, keep it simple. I think Geno Smith's the best quarterback on the roster. I'm not a Drew Lock believer. I think Geno should stay the quarterback. I will say if he struggles against lesser defenses that he's got coming up, then maybe we can talk a little bit. But he's also Cleveland and Baltimore, two of the best defenses in the league. I do think Seattle should look at drafting a quarterback. I thought they should have looked at it this past year if they had the opportunity to, which they may not have. And I think it's something they should look at next year as well. So yeah, that's my take on Geno Smith. I think he's the best quarterback on the roster. I think the good has still been more than the bad, but I do understand people's frustrations, and the turnovers have got to get cut down. All right, last question here. Let me see. Okay, we got Boomers 3048. Thank you for the question, my friend. He says, what trades, if Mariners were to make, seems most likely, or are they staying put? So to answer, there's a couple questions. So that one, they'll make trades. Jerry always makes a trade. You know what? I'll actually address part of the video then. There's some rumors of Geno being traded. I should focus. Okay. The first question was about Geno Smith. This one's about Eugenio Suarez. I should clarify my Genos when I'm talking about Seahawks and Mariners. So I think there could be some creative. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that. The problem with trading Suarez is it's not a great market for third baseman. So unless you're trading Geno for something, then going to get Matt Chapman or Candelario and making other upgrades, I don't know if trading Suarez makes a ton of sense. I could see something where some of the lower level guys are traded. I could see something where you've got like Trammell traded and stuff like that, although I don't think they have a ton of value necessarily, but in a package deal. It wouldn't shock me if one of Wu or Miller is traded. I don't think they're going to trade from the big three in the starting rotation. In fact, I think if anything, they might look to add some starting pitching depth, which then makes Wu or Miller more likely to be traded. They could trade from the bullpen. I think you can always trade bullpen arms and plug and play. I know there's some controversy with the Seawald trade, but we saw guys like Topa come in and be solid. So, guys like Brash and Munoz, I think, are always going to be on the block for that reason. In terms of players they could acquire, there's always talks with the Cardinals, but I think that would take one of your big three if you want to go into like the Lars, Newt Barnell, and Gorman conversation. Yandy Diaz is interesting from the Rays. His name's been brought up a couple times. That's a player I would love. High OBP guy, does not strike out a ton. Really seems like what the Mariners need. I imagine it's going to cost you somewhere in the Wu Miller package. I think you'd have to throw in Ty in there as well. I know it sounds like not much, but the Rays may think they could help Ty France bounce back. And then maybe another pitching or prospect as well. I don't know. I'm not great at knowing what the value is going to be of trades. He would be interesting. If you're going to trade Geno, there were some rumors of Suarez to Toronto that was brought up by one of the, I think, Toronto beat writers. Something would be interesting is kind of like a Geno for George Springer swap would be potentially interesting. And then if you can go out and sign like Matt Chapman or Candelario or something like that, I don't know if I love that, but it would be interesting. I think you could make some case that, a player for player swap there makes sense. That answers that first question from you. Second one, with the 49ers and Bears trading a second and third for Montez Sweat and Chase Young, does it make you feel worse about the Leonard Williams trade? And do I think the Seahawks did enough at the trade deadline? I'll answer that last question first. Yes, I think they did enough at the trade deadline. I don't think there's a lot you can really do in an NFL trade deadline. There's only so many holes you can fill. It would be great if you could go get a Patrick Mahomes at the trade deadline, but unfortunately those guys aren't being traded. And with Nwosu going out, I think the D line was a place that Seattle need to upgrade, and I think Leonard Williams is a good fit. And I thought he played pretty well against Baltimore, though I'm disappointed they didn't do better against the run. As far as the other trades affecting the Williams trade, so to me, it sounds like Seattle's coveted Leonard Williams for a while. I don't know if this was like, oh my gosh, deadline, we've got to make a move so much as it was, hey, we've liked Leonard Williams, we went out and got him. The Bears did sign Sweat, but Sweat was also, a second round pick, and they locked him up long term. I don't believe the Niners are going to be able to lock up Chase Young long term. I think he's going to be gone after this season, whereas I think Leonard Williams has a good chance to re-sign with Seattle. So I think, Leonard Williams costs Seattle more, but the Giants eat all the contract. I think there's a better chance of Leonard Williams staying in Seattle than there is Chase Young staying in San Francisco, which could explain why the pick was a little more expensive. So I appreciate the questions, everybody. Thank you guys for that. Let's move on to the next free agent target I'm going to talk about, and that is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Is my next Mariners free agent target that I want to dive into. Talked about Justin Turner this weekend, and now I'm going to move on to Gurriel. Last year, he posted a 106 WRC plus. He was worth 2.1 wins above replacement level, hit 24 home runs. His OPS was 772. It was 743 in 2022, and it was 765 in 2021. Gurriel was more valuable than Teoscar Hernandez was last year. So you're getting hopefully an upgrade in right field. And again, I'm not able to pull it up. Can I? Nope, I cannot. I wanted to pull up his Savant page, but it is very red. It is solid. His expected weighted on base average was about average. Expected batting average is above average in the red. Expected slugging above average. Average exit velo slightly above average. Barrel rate average. Hard hit rate above average. Chase rate is a little poor. So he does chase a little bit, but he does not swing and miss a lot. His swing and miss and his strikeout numbers, very, very good. Does not walk a ton. So he's a guy that's up there. He's swinging. He's up there to swing. He's going to put the ball in play. And his fielding, at least according to Savant, his range, his arm value, and arm strength are all well above average as well. So you're getting likely a defensive upgrade and a different profile player. Now, he did hit 24 home runs. That's in Arizona, which is much more of a hitter's park. I don't think as a right-handed hitter, he's hitting 24 in T-Mobile. And that OPS may be more 740 than 770. But you're getting a guy that, again, you're getting someone that's going to cut down on the strikeouts, put the ball in play. I talked about that with Justin Turner, which is one of the things I like. In some of those situations we saw with the Mariners, bases loaded, nobody out late in games. And listen, the Mariners overall were actually pretty good, the bases loaded this year. Not surprising. They've got a lot of good hitters on the team. But there's sometimes when you just need someone that's going to put that ball in play. And so many times they seem to struggle with it last year. I'm not saying your goal is to go up there and get sac flies. Like the goal is to put the ball in the gap, get some runs in when you're playing baseball. But sometimes you just need that sac fly. Sometimes you need that RBI ground out. And that's where Turner and Gurriel, and they're not just that. They've also been above average hitters as well. So it's not just, they put it in play and nothing else. So I think Gurriel will be a great target for the Mariners in right field. In fact, him and Justin Turner, outside of the Ohtani and the Blake Snells, would be the guys I would really focus in that I think can give you those, maybe not massive upgrades, but just a little bit of upgrades that you're looking for. Like, again, this team won 88 games. They were poor in one-run games. They were poor in extra innings. A little bit of better luck in that, and some solid additions could put you over the top. It's not crazy. And then this is going to be some serious coping here, but Texas and Houston did put a lot more miles on last year with their postseason runs. Listen, maybe that's something that benefits you a little bit in 2024. That's not me saying, I'm happy the Mariners missed. It sucks, but maybe it's something that can help you. So I think, you go Justin Turner at DH and Lourdes Gurriel and right, you've got two solid everyday players right away that are going to be upgrades over what you had in 2023. Last thing I'm going to talk about is just some of the news and rumors. Actually, I did talk about it a little bit. There were some rumors of Eugenio Suarez to Toronto that have surfaced. Talked about that. I don't know how that trade would look. You've got George Springer. Like I said, that'd be an interesting one-for-one swap. Could do something with Espinal coming over. I don't know the Blue Jays farm system all that well, and the problem is just not a lot of great third basemen out there. Most of Gino's value comes from defense, but there's still that pop in the bat. So I don't know if I'm just willing to do that. It would depend on the return. And then Jerry did mention wanting more contact hitters. He talked about that's why they did not do the qualifying offer to Teoscar Hernandez, was they're trying to get less strikeouts in the lineup, more guys that are contact putting the ball in play. Now, if you want to criticize Jerry and go, well, then why did you acquire Teoscar Hernandez in the first place? Fair. That's a fair debate. If you're an anti-Jerry person or kind of anti what this team is doing, that's a totally fair point. But I also think it's a fair point by Jerry at this point to say, hey, we want to go in a different direction. So it almost guarantees they're not bringing back Teoscar. And I like it. I think they do need to look for more of those guys. And that's why I've profiled Lourdes Gurriel and Justin Turner here as I think two guys that fit that bill. Tough being right-handed hitters in T-Mobile, not the most friendly ballpark for that. But I do think that their game can translate to the ballpark. And like I said with Turner, You've got a guy that's won a World Series, been in many playoff series. Lourdes Gurriel went to the World Series this year with the Diamondbacks. So couple guys that have been there, some good veteran leadership, and I think guys that would be good vibes as well. So that's all I've got for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Sorry, I threw a lot at you with the Q&A and everything. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys likely tomorrow with possibly a very cool interview. I'm trying to get set up with Ty from Locked On Mariners. So hopefully we'll be on tomorrow and I'll have an interview with him. So that'll be really cool. And I'll see you guys later. Go Mariners. Peace.